will even sit on the loading screen. Gives me a quick chance to say hello to everyone that's watching on YouTube, because this is probably a YouTube upload, let's face it. And if you do enjoy liking this, or if you do enjoy watching this video, we upload a whole bunch of great series here on the YouTube channel. So hit that like button, help this video out, and help us out by subscribing. Help yourself out, because then you'll get to see when we upload more awesome games of Starcraft 2 on the YouTube. Top left-hand side, we kick off with the Blue Terran player from Mouse Sports Grand Final of this ESL Open Cup Europe. It's HeroMarine. Let's see if he can bring the fight to a red Zerg bottom right side. Raynor, who has looked fantastic in games against Clem, just not good enough. I would love to see if HeroMarine can somehow... Honestly, if HeroMarine can put up a fight against Raynor today, I think that would be a success story, because Raynor's ZvT looks amazing, just Clem looks literally next level, right? So I feel like it's going to be difficult for anybody else to really pick up a win against him, but let's see what exactly HeroMarine does, because I think a lot of his styles can do very well. I think he can have a lot of success very quickly a lot of the time if he can get into an early lead, and if he can get some early aggressive attacks going. Let's see how it plays. Let's see how it goes. He's going to see a first Rex and a gas, obviously nothing really crazy there. The crazy part is down on this low ground. It's a command center first, so it's already a little bit different from HeroMarine. It's already something that you wouldn't quite imagine to see in a TVZ. It is mixed in, and at the end of the day, first map, I don't mind it. Likelihood that Raynor 12... Well, early pools... Honestly, early pools aren't even that good against CC first, because the whole point of an early pool is to delay the CC, but if the Lings don't get there in time to delay the CC, then you're in trouble. So a lot of the time, CC first actually works out pretty okay. The worst case scenario is like a super fast Roach attack, then the CC first is just a little bit weaker there. But yeah, it's one of those things where if it becomes... if you do it too frequently, it's obviously going to be punished, but if you do it on a rare occasion, mix it in, it's very hard to just get punished for it blindly, right? So, once the Zerg sees this, it's very hard to reactionary punish this, to react and be like, because it's not like it's putting the Terran, like, stupidly far ahead or anything. Like, yes, it's a nice little boost, it's a nice little advantage, but that's why, it's only a little difference, and hence, trying to be like, aha, I'm just going to, all in you from now, it is holdable from the CC first position like this. So we're all just going to go reactor and the factory. Depot going down as well on this wall off. And we do have our overlord speed already going to kick it up on that main base as well. Zergling speed coming through too. So again, all of this up and running as our factory is about to finish up here from HeroMarine. And a couple of additional SCVs also still coming in. So Starport is just going to drop down into the main, as we do have the factory going to swap on over to the reactor. Barrack's going to move up to the middle here, and just seeing our Hellions continuing on through with, again, Overlord speed and Link speed all coming up. Creep Jammers are going to continue to spread on out, a little bit up the front, a little bit to the left, up top, etc. Just going to see the Overlord of Raynor going to make its way through with that Overlord speed. Really just wants to know what's going on behind this. It is a fast 3cc, which Raynor's going to find out pretty quickly. Of course, just nice to know that for sure. Sometimes I'm like, well, you just kind of pay to kind of figure out that it's a, an economy-based build, but I think in this case, when it's CC first as well, it's like, well, what are you up to? And in this case, you get to see the exact follow-up as well as Raynor. And he's going to see, well, Attack Lab Starport with no Cloak. What is that? Well, in this case, it's actually going to turn out to be a Raven, which is obviously a little bit different. He's going to start Cloak now, just before this Marine pops out and pushes us away. So we'll see if that's something that Raynor responds to. A lot of the time you got to add on those spores anyway, just, safety, just in case it actually is the Banshee. Yeah, I don't mind the little bit of a fake out here. Now, if this Overlord sticks around long enough to see it's a Raven, fake out don't mean much. Let's see if it does. It is, and if Raynor's paying attention right now, that Raven has absolutely been sighted, so... yeah, he double checks it, and now Cloak cancels, and HeroMarine just going to move that away. Reactor on the starport, and he's going to move the factory to attack lab, and he's going to start tank production already. So, with the Raven, what do you really want to do? Well, it's actually only going to be 7 Hellions, so it's not even a super high Hellion count. what you can do is obviously shut down creep tumors without scanning. You have the auto turrets, which will help you. I don't like that. I feel like you kind of just forgot that Overlord speed's in the game. So you push back the Overlord, but as soon as that auto turret's gone, this Overlord can just move right back here, so you don't really gain much as HeroMarine, right? As, counterattack, and actually going to get an Engineering Bay cancel. So yeah, it's one of those weird ones where, like, maybe this Overlord not being here, that vision gained is a bonus, but it's only going to be vision gained for, like, a couple seconds, and then just, it falls away from you pretty much immediately anyway, so. Yeah. Bit of a wonky one. Italians come through, picking off a creep tumor. Another couple of creep tumors are going to start coming down. You have a couple lings up on the top side, nibbling and chewing their way through some bits and pieces. A mule will drop into the third base as well. Let's see if these lings can hit a counter. Well, Hellions are back now, so I imagine not, but oh my! With the siege tank friendly fire, the lings somehow get in, kill the mule, and get out. That's incredible. Like, how does that happen of all things? That is actually crazy. Like, genuinely, that is really just crazy here. That is something else. Hellions and the Raven going to sit in the center. Out down the bottom, lings are going to wrap around a set of rocks. These queens coming through as well. And this rock's taking quite a bit of damage to begin with here as, the lings kind of run on over and just continue to rally into this. Just going to be seeing the creep spread continue to push on out, and, well, Hellions, Raven, and a siege tank kind of wanting to make their way down towards these lings as well. The queens going to have to pull it back a little bit right now as our rocks go down. Our creep team is being picked up. Just seeing the 1-1 upgrades and the combat shield all coming through. The armory on the way down as well. All of this setting up as a few lings peel their way up to the top. They're going to start hitting this bunker, putting a little bit more damage into it. Hellions and the Raven just continuing through, taking down a whole bunch of the creep spread. I mean, again, that's the power of the Raven. All of this without having to expend scans, right? Raynor's going to counterattack again immediately, playing a very ling-heavy style here with those early melee upgrades. And trying to brute force his way in here to get a proper surround. If he gets a surround, he will be in this natural and will be able to do a lot. Obviously, the bunker was on the third, and he didn't really like that. Yeah, but now reinforcements on that high ground. And how much does he really get done? 4 workers killed, a few Marines. I mean, it's honestly felt like a lot of lings. Oh my goodness, I didn't see these banelings dropping from the Overlord, and nor did HeroMarine. Oh, that's where the damage is really going to come from, is the harassment hits elsewhere. The Bane drop hits big in the main, and that's going to be 18 SCVs killed. We push forward here with the auto turrets. It was at the end of the Raven as well. Yep, shot down, so using its energy before it falls, but now it's gone, and HeroMarine's remnants of that Raven is going to be this push on the bottom side. But she's set up to continue. 5 racks to reinforce this. Reynor's got another counterattack, by the way. He's got no real interest in properly fighting this. He's actually going to bust down that bunker. HeroMarine pulls right to the bunker. He's like, wait, the bunker's gone. No! And he's got to go the other way, and that's another 20 workers killed. HeroMarine's economy is in the gutter. It's gone. The 40 workers, well, his army right now is really where it's going to come down to. Can this army right here and now win this out? I mean, Raynor has to give up this forward base. He's building a new one top right, but it ain't ready yet. So yeah, not a bad start. A baneling there snuck in and got a good few Marines. Raynor going to bring other lings back. I mean, the big part of this right now from Raynor is he really is stopping reinforcements. The supply block definitely affecting HeroMarine's rebuild as well. And now he's actually going to dive in and catch some reinforcements too. So just picking fights where it's bits and pieces of the Terran. And that's absolutely going to help him even out the supplies in this battle. He's going to go for it right now, running down this ramp, and in we go. And here we never even started 2-2 upgrades, and Raynor did, and Raynor's still clearing this out to take game number 1 on Light Shade. Beautifully done by Raynor. I think the counterattacks were just the right amount. We'll hopefully have the room properly sorted soon. I'm excited to get everything properly into it as well. And just empty my... Right now, my wardrobe upstairs is literally just like... I have a nice little walk-in wardrobe now. But it's literally just everything that's probably meant to be in this room just stored away. So, yeah, it's a little wild. But no, otherwise, I'm very happy with how things are looking here. As we kick things off, friends, we do have bottom left-hand side of Blackburn down 1 map. Our blue Terran player is HeroMarine. Bottom right-hand side, the red Zerg player is going to be Raynor. Alright, well. Pull first from Reynor, so already going to be seeing that as a little bit of a difference here on Blackburn. One of the maps that Reynor has been very vocal about not liking. Obviously makes sense that it's the first map pick of HeroMarine in this best of 5. After Reynor probably vetoes back at Industries. So, yeah, not really anything surprising about the map order. And yeah, with the pool first, it's the kind of thing that maybe Reynor can do something funky with. And maybe, well, he goes pool first, hatch. That's really interesting. Yeah, maybe you do something interesting with this. Maybe you're afraid about what happens. I have no idea, actually, what you do with pool hatch. But my initial intention would have been, like, maybe you play a bit aggressive. Maybe you get some lings out. But, yeah, none of that's happening with pool hatch. So, not really sure. Rax first from HeroMarine, obviously, this time. And goes Reaper into Marine. As the SCV comes up, and we'll see. Oh, pool first. Let's see if that keeps the Reaper back at home. The reason this map's great for Terran is just obviously the push through the bottom side. Very difficult to flank in and counter that. And the problem is if it gets pushed up to here, you just have free Doom Drop play into the main base. So it's a very good pushing and dropping map for the Terran player. And it's just going to be seeing the Reaper coming back through and coming up to the top. Trying to see what's going on. So the Reaper goes into this natural. Drone's going to take some damage. As we've got ourselves, well, pretty peaceful opening, really. Nothing too crazy. The starport sets up in the main base. The tech lab on the factory. Reactor on the barracks. Spreading that creep on forward as the Cyclone is building from HeroMarine. Scan up and running. Grenade goes down, pushes the Queen back. A couple of additional Marines continuing in from HeroMarine as well. It's just getting that set up, and yeah, the Reaper moving back and forth a little bit. Medevac is going to rally out toward the Marines. It's obviously very funky here from HeroMarine. The fact he goes for Marine Cyclone and then going to go into the Hellion production. Gives him this little Marine Cyclone drop. Very good at clearing Overlords. Like, this Overlord should die. This Overlord should die. So I imagine that's going to be their priorities initially. Oh, I like this as well. He's not even going to show the Cyclone to the Overlords. He's not quite going to give Raynor that information. Raynor might not know exactly what this is. Might be worried about a couple of things. Tell you what, Raynor with no link speed for a long time here. So he's going to be really relying on a Queen defense. If this was something like a Hellbat attack, the damage you could get done out of this would be crazy. As right now, I mean, this Cyclone Marine drop alone is doing a fair amount. Unfortunately, the Queens get on top of the medevac, and a lot of damage taken there is really going to limit how much more aggressive this Cyclone Marine drop can be. Because now you really can't get too aggressive in the main or anything any longer, right? So it probably means that Reynor's going to be fairly safe, and Raynor really just greedy. 55 drones. Now spores, now the link speed. I mean, everything's just been so greedy off the pool first. Into double hatch, and it's just been drone. And yeah, I mean, working out, I guess. Because he's not died. And if he's not died, I say that's probably a pretty successful opening. He has gone for a Roach Roaring here as well. So building that Roach Roaring up and getting that ready to begin. Getting that started out. Aliens come in. They're going to be able to push back a couple of lings and actually getting some good shots off here. Cyclone with a little lock on as well. Picking off one more Zergling Queens. Getting pretty good getting a Hellion. Now the Hellions do move into Hellbats. Roach Roaring isn't ready yet, so Raynor has a bit of time to spare until... Oh no, he doesn't have time to spare, sorry. He's got some time to buy before he has Roaches ready to go. Oh, this is a little bit brutal, isn't it? The Lings are going to go for the wraparound on the Reinforcing Hellion. I mean, that's perfect. You don't want to wrap around the Hellbats. Going for the Raven with the Queens, but that's a hard dive. He puts the Queens back up against the Wolf. The Hellbats on top of them. Raynor was so greedy going into this, though, that if he survives, he might just turn out to be okay. Again, with Roaches spawning, I mean, a couple more Roaches continue through. These Hellbats are in some trouble for sure. I mean, Reynor's going to hold this off and defend. I mean, how much do you lose in the end? I mean, it's a lot of queens. 5 queens? Still has 3, so he still has injects. He's taking the gold base. I don't really know. The thing is, from here, from Reynor, you're still waiting on Evo chambers as well. He's only got 1 Evo finishing. I don't know if I've ever really understood what Reynor's plan was this game. Was it just like a Roach-based attack? I mean, now he starts +1 missile. It's going to be a while before you commit to an attack, because why the heck would you go before the +1 missiles? Well, kind of just wouldn't. Well, Hellions coming through. A drone does get toasted down. Other Lings showing up. Marines and Marauder in position there to turn those Lings around as well, so they get shot down pretty nicely. Yeah, it's just going to be C9 +1 missile. Still coming through on the Evo chamber, and the Roaches are going to come through and just going to go jumping in on top of those Hellbats. The first one goes down already. Second one gets picked off too. And, I mean, this is just going to be a Roach attack. I mean, I'm just surprised, I guess, by the upgrade timing. I feel like everything just felt a little off for me this game. Maybe I'm the dumb one, not quite understanding what the plan was. Drop into the main base, and well, that's something that Reynor's probably going to have to respond to, because it's not like he's ready to attack right away. But tell you what is big. These tanks are just on their own, so these tanks are just going to go down immediately. Reynor's going to get on top of those. Some units come down the ramp, but yikes, that's bad, because now all these SCVs have to evacuate the third base, and I don't think HeroMarine was quite expecting this attack to show up here. Like I say, those tanks were just undefended, and yeah, I mean, tanks are great against Roaches, but not if the Roaches can get on top of them so quickly. Not in the slightest. More Roaches and Ravagers continuing through here. Just going to drop a couple vials into the sky, and the Orbital Command is going to take a couple more shots. Roach Ravager still continuing through. Another tank shot firing, and Roach is still taking hits. We're going to continue through and try and break up this ramp. Can't get vision on the siege tank, so you can't bile down the siege tank right away. +1 missiles now finishing, but no carapace against what is 1-1 upgrades from the Terran player. You got to pick your fight careful here as Raynor. Don't get me wrong, there's not like a ton of tanks ready to go, but you don't necessarily need to run up into this. And you can see him starting to drone a little bit, realizing a little bit like, maybe I just don't keep fighting this. Maybe I just try and keep you on 2 bases as long as possible. Because he kind of probably knows that overall, continuing to fight this is probably not going to turn out too well. And then you maybe open that one big counterattack from HeroMarine, and that HeroMarine army that just never dies. So Roach Ravager will continue through. A couple more Ravagers morphing in. You have our medevacs out down at the bottom. So again, setting this up. A couple more tanks setting up. Here we go. Roach Ravager continues forward. Bio units coming through as well. A couple of biles. Gonna connect through on these siege tanks as well. I mean, he is gonna get rid of the tanks. Question is to get rid of all of this bio, and it looks as though he will cross a bile dead center on everything there too. Well, I say it looks like he will. A few reinforcements showing up. SCVs pulled in to try and survive. Honestly, army supply rise. HeroMarine is really not in too bad of a spot in comparison to HeroMarine's army supply. In comparison to Reynor's army supply, and HeroMarine is going to push Raynor back in the end. And he used another few SCVs while doing this, and Raynor might have a stronger rebuild. Is it going to be enough, though? Obviously, on creep, you have a little bit of an advantage as the Zerg having that mobility. One of the big things, I think, is definitely being able to reset the tank count every time. Only 1 tank on the map right now, and if there was any of the tanks surviving these fights, then I would really hate it for Raynor. That's probably the one reason I think it's absolutely okay, because there's only ever been that single, basically every fight there's been no tanks left over, right? I think that's made a massive difference here. As Roach Ravager continues through, a couple of biles going down. Siege tank is eliminated, and the Marines and Marauders continue through this as well. A lot of SCVs pull in. I mean, with the SCV pull, you might survive, you might tank enough shots to continue onward. Another couple of biles just all over the place, and at this point, medevacs are dropping down dead. Remember that these medevacs are almost kind of out of energy too, so they are becoming less and less useful as time passes by. Push on through. Roach Ravager just going to move on in. And we are going to be seeing a couple of biles. Not enough just yet. One more, please. There we go. The tank does go down. The medevacs were flying over it as well, which is dangerous. Raynor is going to crush his way through this with the Roach Ravager army, but boy, it was not easy. It took a little while. It took a little bit of effort, that is for sure. But he is going to get the job done in the end as Roach has turned back around. SCV's in that third base in some trouble. And that's going to be GG. Reynor takes the 2-0 lead in our finals. I had a discussion on, well, I say discussion, I made a comment on our Starcraft last night where people were like, well, why doesn't Reynor and Sarah like play like, Rogue and play Roaches against someone like Clem? And obviously Reynor shows that he's capable of playing Roach styles like this game here. I think the thing is, it's just the way Clem builds, right? Someone made this comment. I was like, well, I just don't think it's good against Clem. If it was, why would they not just be doing it? And someone's like, well, if it was bad, why is Rogue doing it? Which isn't really what I meant, but I'm saying it's bad. I'm just saying maybe it's not good against Clem. And to be fair, how often does Clem open with those banshees? And if banshees are out, a lot of these Roach attacks just really don't get enough done. Then you kind of gotta start thinking about bringing queens across with it, and realistically, a lot of the time, that just isn't really a possibility, That just isn't really possible at all, so yeah. Alright, well, HeroMarine bottom left-hand side is down 0-2. And Reynor top right is our red Zerg. And up in this series. So I was just wondering about it, because I was like, well, I think it would be good to mix in, but I was just thinking Clem really does just make banshees all of the time. And it's really been something he's gone into a lot lately, instead of just playing like a lot of the kind of the 3cc2 racks, which he was liking for a long time as well. I wonder if it is really just zoning that kind of phase of the game out, or that possibility away. And then you can just play a much more kind of macro-focused game instead. Like, Clem can almost guarantee getting into that macro game, and maybe that's why he does, and he's very confident there. So, pretty interesting, though. I think it's a really fun one. So yeah, no, it was an interesting thing to think about a little bit at the very least, as we get going. Well, this game number 3. I've fun to see you so far, though. I thought that second game was actually pretty close at times, right? You're really like a little bit of a better cleanup away from just getting the full-on cleanup as HeroMarine. Like a couple times over, and then maybe the counterattack really is deadly. I actually think if you just preserve a tank, 1 or 2 times extra in that game, it probably makes a difference as well. And I really think it comes down to those first 2 siege tanks that just died. Those guys, if they had any amount of protection on them, maybe that would have changed everything as well. So, yeah, let's do lots of very close moments. 2000 atmospheres is the 3rd map. That means probably Reynor's map pick here. Probably means Oxide map 4, and map 5 would be Romanticide. It's a very standard order of maps lately in this in the ZvT best of 5s. Beckett gets vetoed by the Zerg. Dragonatha gets vetoed by the Terran. Zerg picks Lightshade, or Terran picks Blackburn first, and then, whoever picked first, 2000 atmospheres slash Oxide, maps 3 and 4, map 5, Romanticide. Like, it just keeps happening like that, right? Because, well, those are just the maps that are better for each race, and it seems to be a pretty neat consensus across the board. That is kind of how you do it. I know in Korea it mixes up a little bit more. Not all the Terrans actually veto Jaganatha. Not sure if that's as true in best of 5s, though. I'm not as familiar with Korean vetoes at the moment, because I've not really done many Korean vetoes on my own events or anything, As this command center will finish in the main. And a Reaper and 2 Hellions make their way across. Done some damage on. And these Queens of Reynor are going to come on through. Chase the Reaper and the 2 Hellions away to the right-hand side as well, so He's getting chased out of the right. Banshee building from HeroMarine in the main. Just going to have this 1 Marine poking away at the Overlord as well. Cloak coming up on the tech lab. This is going to mean that we are going to go into these Banshees maybe and make sure we don't see any of those Roaches again. This time we're going to see an Armory on the far left-hand side on that 9 o'clock position from HeroMarine. So getting that Armory up and running. It allows them to obviously build up into a Hellbat attack or so. As the lab builds here from Raynor, the few drones coming through. Yeah, something that actually I don't think Raynor is going to be very prepared for is kind of like a Hellbat Banshee attack right now. I mean, what does he really have against that? Pretty much nothing at all, I want to say. I think that's actually a pretty fair assessment of what's happening right here. Love this, hitting the rocks and actually getting the creep tumor out of it. Yeah, the thing is as well, these speedy overlords, right? So you think you're seeing everything. You think you're seeing there's no way he's got an armory. But it's actually up over here. Now, this overlord's kind of getting pushed in that direction, but will it fly that far? I kind of doubt it, honestly, and that's kind of the brilliance in this. A second factory did start, and I wonder if that was seen. Stim starts on the racks. I mean, you might not have clicked this and just assumed it's a barracks as well. Because I kind of just assumed it was a barracks, so I looked in the production tab. So, second factory coming through. Bane Nest on the way from Raynor. I mean, that just is not in time to deal with this attack. Queens, 4 of them on the front, over on the right side, 3 of them up to the top. Ooh, the Lings do get a decent surround to begin with, but you can't move forward because the Overseer wasn't here. So the Banshees are going to slow this down massively, and the Queens on the right side take a little while to sort that out. Now, these Hellbats actually do have low HP because of the initial startup. Those Banshees just got so many shots on the Queens initially. That was actually amazing what they were able to do, as Reynor just wasn't prepared for the Cloak Banshees to be there. He nearly got an Evo Chamber block off to keep those Hellbats in. 2 more Lings spawn. He is going to clean this up, but it comes at a pretty large expense. Resources lost pretty even, actually. Obviously, drones pulled on the 3rd mineral line. I mean, 1 Banshee just about stays alive, too. Yeah, that got a little bit hectic a little bit quickly there, didn't it? Got a little bit wild. So I like HeroMarine mixing it up. And his follow-up is going to be Drilling Claw Mines. So that's going to be what the second factory's for. It is going to be a real stim. And it is going to be into bio. I mean, I only would ever think it's maybe mech for the simple fact that this is the map and the map pool. Some players have played mech on a little bit more than others, so maybe, but yeah, I mean, faking stim's kind of wild unless you really just wanted to believe Reynor didn't check it was a factory, which maybe he didn't. Yeah, I mean, a possibility, but would have been a crazy one. Banshee show up over here, and well, Reynor should have been more prepared than that before sending drones over. He knows Cloak Banshees are still alive, and that's great about keeping the Banshee here alive as well. Got 4 drones instead of what would have been 2 if it's just a single Banshee, if even 2, because obviously you fire the first shot and then the second shot fires, you kill 1 drone. That might just be the reaction difference for Reynor to save the rest. So I like this little Baneling drop though. You've got Overlord speed, and when you've got Overlord speed, I think it's always worthwhile to play the Baneling drops. It just puts a little bit more pressure on the Terran, forces them to pay a bit more attention to their minimap, and just make sure they're keeping an eye on their bases back at home. Make sure things don't get out of control or anything. A few Widow Mines do move on over. There is a little bit of action up here as well. This medevac gets shut down pretty easily. Let's see what this medevac ends up getting done. Where did the Dropper Lord go? Am I blind? Okay, sorry. I'm trying to find out where the Dropper Lord went. I feel like I'm really blind right now. Okay, well, this medevac's about to come on through. And it's going to drop in, so... Well, workers over here have to split. That was kind of a late split from Raynor, honestly, and this Widow Mine just going to get a couple of wings. Nice split away, minimizes the damage. This is going to get cleaned up, so, I mean, a lot of drones going down, though. Am I crazy? Where did this Dropper Lord go? There it is. Did it completely turn around? It did. It completely changed direction. I don't know what saw it. Did the medevac see and he decided to go the other way? I love the defense, by the way. Triple Spore here actually does allow you just to kill this medevac instantly. Raynor is way, way, way behind on army supply right now. He actually needs to get something done here in terms of this drop, because this army of HeroMarine is already looking fantastic, and he might have just done enough damage to just kind of shut Raynor down altogether. I mean, there's a bunker here firing. The Banes are going to get in, though, and SCVs will go down. 11 workers killed. Not bad, but, I mean, the Dropper Lord goes down, too, so it was a one-time attack. First few Banes here roll forward. Don't do too much. I mean, just warning off a couple units like that. Send off that Widow Mine. These couple Hellbats are the issue. They're so expensive to fight. And this hatchery is going to fall. So Reynor just has to give up the 5th base, no doubt about it. Hive on the way. I mean, he's got the Hydra Den finished, but he hasn't made a Lurker Den yet, which is what we oftentimes expect from Raynor. 14 SCVs went down in total for HeroMarine. I thought it was 11. I guess something else got in here for a bit more damage. Raynor is just so far down on army supply, and again, there's going to be Widow Mines apparently just continuing to fly in everywhere. Raynor trying to deal with them. He actually stops the first from firing, but the second and third ones do get to fire, and they get all of those Lings that were surrounding them. Yeah, I mean, HeroMarine's just done enough this game. I think the initial attack really threw Raynor off a lot. He wasn't really prepared for it, and the cost of that really, I think, just flung things out of proportion for him and made it very difficult for him to start dealing with the rest of this now as Queens come over, chasing that medevac down. It just about gets away to the upper left corner. The rest of this army from HeroMarine is going to move out over to the far right. Yeah, I think that's kind of going to be... I mean, this push is going to be pretty deadly. I mean, Raynor does have a lot of workers, so that's something to keep in mind is, oh my goodness, HeroMarine was not really ready for this fight at all. Oh, he gets past all of the Widow Mines, so no splash damage goes out on this army. Finally, the medevacs lift up, and, well, just as I'm thinking that this fight might just do it for HeroMarine, Raynor takes a magnificent fight. And one thing I've really not touched upon are the upgrades. 2-2 against 1-1 right now, so actually the current fights are a little bit in favor of Raynor. Oh, that fight was just bad for HeroMarine, though. He got none of the Widow Mines to connect on any of the initial Ling Bane. And that's just brutal, as the Queen here will slowly chip away at these Widow Mines. One more here gets taken down. It does feel like Raynor is slowly improving at shutting down these Widow Mines. And this one Queen just doesn't do damage to these very quickly at all. And I don't think Raynor's really sent anything to properly deal with these, so they're probably going to fire again, right? One of them? Maybe? It's very possible. Another attack down in this direction, bottom right. Probably is the one with the least creep in front of a base. I guess top left is building, but this base is done, so maybe more of a priority for HeroMarine to begin with. This mine did go down. Raynor's already losing a clump of units. He's got lurkers. They're about to have seismic spines. Can they make the difference? He kind of needs them to be out in position already, but they're not really in position just yet. And if he wants to attack, he doesn't have adaptive talents to get them burrowed up quickly, so he's actually setting up some lurker drops, but let's see what he can do. A couple of Vipers on the way. I would always say that this is pretty much where Raynor is at his, most comfortable. As these Lings are going to fight on in, and this base is just unprotected. Reinforcements? Absolutely not. There's just none of them. So HeroMarine will lose a lot of depots here. A lot of SimCity around this location. Where's the lurker drop? It's actually moving around the left-hand side. Ideally, a mineral line or just production lines would be good. Production line might be decent. I just wonder, 2 lurkers in a production line, like, sometimes it's just not going to be enough as... Well, I've got Liberators moving forward here now. There were Vipers already in production before. Looks like Raynor's just going to give up this base and let HeroMarine have it. He doesn't want to really do much about this, although he might still try and fight. As he's got some units from the bottom side. Yeah, that didn't really work out. He is going to put the lurkers into the main, it seems. I mean, he sees the tanks over here, but, I mean, this detection continues because there's a turret in the corner, so... Oh, no! This lurker's going to be able to get on top of everything. Meanwhile, this little attack up here doesn't actually have many hit points on the Marines, so they get cleaned out. Attack down here is just a couple of Lings. Yeah, HeroMarine scans. He's like, wait a second, where's the lurker? Like, it's on top of him, so his tank still don't fire. It's like, god damn it. Yeah, a little bit annoying then. I like the idea. It keeps HeroMarine that bit busier. Obviously, Raynor losing the right-hand side control, but he's continuing to establish the top left. He has a lot of drones in this space. He has a lot of drones that are essentially just not mining as they should be. So he really needs another base, and that's why 5 bases at 14 minutes really isn't where Raynor wants to be. He wants to be a bit higher than that. But I tell you what, these tanks over here are very much so on their own. Yep. And they were just unreinforced. I mean, the Bayouns didn't get back to them in time, so with the blinding clouds and a couple of ducts, makes things happen. Meanwhile, this lurker over here has a fun time fighting against some SCVs. Marines show up and don't think they're going to get the job done. Maybe the siege tank will. But then the scan disappears, has to scan again. Now Raynor makes an aggressive attack himself. Wants to shut down this base. I mean, these Banes will probably want to make a play towards the SCVs and actually stop them from getting a chance to repair. I mean, the Lings are going down to the planetary fortress. SCVs will start a drop. Lurker's going to fight here. Vipers are going to abduct some tanks forward as they begin to siege. Oh, HeroMarine seems like he's kind of falling apart a little bit. These Lurkers are putting in some serious damage. 4 tanks building at a time, by the way. But he freaking needs them because they're dropping like flies. But Raynor's just going to push through and make it work, man. This game really just got out of control so quickly. Like, a run by on that 3rd base, I really think started it. Because from there, HeroMarine was just not anywhere he needed to be from that point on.